It's a crisp Tuesday morning in August the 23rd, 2021. A woman named Babita Deokaran finishes the school run. She drops her daughter off, and then she turns her car towards her home in southern Johannesburg. She's a chief director, a senior official in the Gauteng Health Department. A number cruncher. A mother. A whistleblower. She pulls up to her complex. She gets out of her car. And then, another car pulls up. 6 shots. Maybe 7. A professional hit. Babita Deokaran is left for dead on the pavement. She was 53 years old. This murder, this assassination, was meant to silence something. To bury a secret. But secrets have a way of clawing their way out of the ground. This is the story of what Babita Deokaran knew. It's a story that leads us into the heart of a multi-billion rand web of corruption, to 2 men they called Tender Kings, and to a meeting in a mansion that might just lead to the very top. To understand why Babita Deokaran was killed, we need to understand what she found. Picture this, Tembisa Hospital. One of the busiest hospitals in South Africa, serving over 1.5 million people. It's chronically underfunded, understaffed. During the COVID pandemic, it was on its knees. But in the finance office, Babita was seeing something that made no sense. Money was flying out the door. She was a guardian of the public purse, and she started digging. What she found was a fire hose of cash, pointed directly into the pockets of a select few. In 1 month alone, September 2021, she identified 217 companies that were being paid a staggering R239 million. For comparison, that was 25% more than a much bigger hospital was spending. It was a feeding frenzy. And she noticed a pattern. Dozens of these payments were just under 500,000 rands. Why? Because that's the magic number. Any contract below 500,000 rands can be awarded without a competitive, open tender process. It's a loophole you could drive a truck through. And someone was. 3 weeks before she was killed, Babita did something brave. She flagged them. She halted payments. She wrote a report. And in that report, she named names. One of those names was a company linked to a man named Don Morgan. She had stumbled into the kingdom of a man they called the Tender Don. And she had just sounded the alarm. So who is Don Morgan? If you were to look for him, you'd start in Sandton. But not in a glass skyscraper. You'd go to a residential estate. A single unit. And from this one, ordinary address, he ran an empire. At least 9 companies. Maybe 12. All of them, on paper, supplying goods to hospitals. He wasn't a doctor. He wasn't a medical supplier. He was a businessman who had found the key to the vault. And what did his companies sell? Let's look at the invoices. This is where it gets surreal. One company charged the hospital 456,960 rands for what? For 50 stainless steel kidney dishes. Another charged 496,555 rands for 50 flat-bottomed bowls. And another, boerewors. That's right. Sausage. This wasn't supply. This was plunder. It was a brazen, arrogant theft of money meant for the sick and the dying. And with that money, Don Morgan Maumela built a life of breathtaking luxury. A 280 million rands property portfolio. Homes on the Zimbabwe coast. Apartments in Camps Bay. And not 1, not 2, but 4 Lamborghinis. Each one costing almost 18 million rand. This was the reward for exploiting a pandemic. But he didn't do it alone. He had a partner. A man who operated from the shadows. A man with a very different skill set. If Don Morgan Maumela was the businessman, then Vusamuzi Matlala was the enforcer. They called him Cat. And his story is not one of luxury cars, but of cash-in-transit heists. Of armed robbery. Of alleged hitmen. While Maumela was buying Lamborghinis, Matlala was building a different kind of empire, one based on fear. He ran a security company, Cat VIP Protection. A company that Maumela was once a director of. It was the perfect partnership. Don Morgan Maumela handled the money. Don Kat Matlala handled the problems. And in May of 2025, Kat Matlala's world of violence finally caught up with him. He was arrested, along with his wife and several associates. The charge: the attempted murder of his ex-girlfriend, actress Tebo Gothabayan. Police alleged he hired hitmen to have her shot. But that was just the beginning. When police raided his prison cell, they found a cell phone. And on that phone, they found something astonishing. He was watching a live press conference by the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner, General Mlanlam Khwanazi, the very man who was hunting him. Matlala wasn't just a criminal. He was a man who believed he was untouchable. The commissioner would later say Kat Matlala had captured parts of the criminal justice system, paying off officials to look the other way. But back in 2021, there was one person who wouldn't look the other way. Babita Deokaran. And she had flagged Matlala's companies too. She had connected the dots between the businessman and the enforcer. She knew they were partners.